Hello, this video is about all the pros and cons of what it's like to live here in northern Arizona. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because a lot of people are moving into Arizona and they're not really sure where they want to land. Do they want to land in the Phoenix area? Do they want to live somewhere near Tucson? Or do they want to live in northern Arizona, which would be like Flagstaff, Sedona, Verde Valley, Prescott Valley, Pine, Payson, Strawberry. So this video I put together just based on my own experience living here. I live in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, but I've also lived near Flagstaff when I went to Northern Arizona University, and I also worked in Flagstaff for a few years. So based on my recollection and from my friends and my colleagues, listening to them complain and, you know, the things that they like to brag about living here in the northern part of the state. Now, realize that some of the cons might be something that you don't mind at all, and then some of the pros might be something that you don't care for yourself. So just keep that in mind. Everybody else has different taste, but I'm going to lay it on the line for you so you know what it's like to live here in beautiful northern Arizona. Hello and welcome to the Living in Northern Arizona YouTube channel. Now, if you're new to the channel, this channel is all about everything you would need to know about living in the beautiful state of northern Arizona, what it's like to live, eat, sleep, play here in the northern half of the state. Now, if you are not new, welcome back. Please hit the like button because that will help other people who are looking for this type of information to be able to find the video and to find my channel. Please hit the subscribe and the notification bell because when you do that, you'll be notified every single time I upload new information, new content, new videos to my channel. My name is Dawn Dickinson and I sell real estate here in the beautiful northern half of Arizona. That would be Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, Prescott, Pine, Payson, Strawberry. The northern Arizona towns. Now realize northern Arizona looks way different than Phoenix Metropolitan and even Tucson, so be sure to listen to the video to find out everything you need to know about living here. Now every single day, me and my team, we get people reaching out, we get calls, texts, emails, questions on how to or what should I do in order to move here to Arizona. So feel free to do that because we absolutely love it when it happens. Those are our favorite clients and the favorite people for us to work with. So go ahead, shoot me a text, an email, or if you would like, go into the description below and find my calendar link and you can set up a formal interview or, you know, phone call session, Zoom session even, where we could talk about moving to Arizona. Now, whatever it is you're thinking about that you need, just remember we have your back here when it's time for you to move to the state of Arizona. So I'm going to give you the first pro and con. Of course, the first pro is that there is beautiful scenery up here in the northern half of the state. You have areas where there's wooded and pine trees. You have high desert. You have beautiful red rocks. You have areas where there are streams, areas where there are lakes, where there are rivers. There's beautiful scenery everywhere. Lots of places to explore. Lots of places for you to go hiking, to ride your side-by-side. And even for me, I live in beautiful Sedona. If I just need to go to West Sedona to the office for a reason, I get to drive through a beautiful scenic byway all the way, and sometimes you get used to it. You think, oh, you know, this is just my ride to work, and then next to you, you see people out looking like, with their cameras, and I'm like, oh yeah, I live in Sedona. So the beautiful scenery is probably the first pro to living in the northern half of the state. Now the second, I should say the first con would be that we are very geographically spread out. So you might have to drive distance to go places. So if I need to go to Home Depot, for instance, I need to drive to Cottonwood. That's like a 35-minute drive to get used to driving. If I need to go to a specialist, say I need to go to take my kid to the urologist, say I might have to drive to Phoenix. So you do have a little bit of, not that there's not doctors here, but it might get my point, there's geographically spread out. Now if you live in Flagstaff or if you live in Prescott, probably not everything you need will be nearby, but if you're one of the smaller towns like Sedona or Payson, for instance, you might have to drive just to, you know, once a week to go somewhere to do some of your favorite things. Like for instance, I have to go make an eye appointment for get new glasses. I'm gonna go drive to Flagstaff to do that. Pro number two is we're not overpopulated like Phoenix. You go to Phoenix now, it's like miniature Los Angeles. It's not like that here in northern Arizona. Now I have to say some of the towns are getting very populated, like maybe Prescott, for example. There are a lot of people that live there, but still it is nothing in comparison to the massive traffic and the massive population that you have in the lower parts of the state. The central and even Tucson is getting very populated. So a con, though, is you have Airbnb. So let me tell you that Airbnb, Governor Ducey a while back signed a bill saying that if you have a property that state's not going to tell you what to do with it. Now, of course, you can't run a brothel or a meth lab or anything illegal, but if you want an Airbnb, you can, unless you live in an area that has an HOA that prohibits it. So for example, I live in Village of Oak Creek, which is the unincorporated part of Sedona. There is a rule here that says you cannot rent your property for less than 30 days. So that's good because I don't get an Airbnb next to me. So some parts of Sedona, and we see this in the tourist towns right now, there's a lot of Airbnbs coming in. First of all, it makes it so residents don't live here anymore. In some towns you'll see declining population. That would be the reason. But the problem is if you're living next to an Airbnb, every weekend you got a new person there. And sometimes people are coming and having giant parties, and it's 10:30 at night, and you're older like me and you want to sleep and you hear a wild party next door. So Airbnbs have been causing a little bit of problem here, not just the northern half of the state, but particularly if you live in Sedona or say Munns Park, Payson. Airbnbs are coming in because people like to vacation here. Pro number 3 is that it's not as hot here as Phoenix. So most of the towns, I should say now, the exception would be like Lake Havasu City. It's super hot there. The reason would be the elevation, right? Lake Havasu City is like 780-ish elevation. That's very low. It's on the Colorado River border. It gets very hot there. In fact, the normal in the summertime might be 108, 109, and the record high at Lake Havasu City is 128. Now, the other towns, though, are much higher elevation. Flagstaff, for instance, is pushing 7,000 foot above sea level, so you have the beautiful pine trees, you have nice breezes. In the summertime, it's typically in the low 80s, and in the coldest part of the winter, maybe the teens and the 20s. Not that it doesn't reach 0 degrees or get below, but typically in the wintertime, that's as cold as it gets. And say here in Sedona, where I live, it's about 4,000. West Sedona is a little higher, 4,500. So in the summertime, we'll get to 90s most of the time. And the coldest part of the winters, it'll get in the 30s. So that's not so bad. That's way better than if you live in Phoenix. Now, the record high in Phoenix is 122, but I lived in Phoenix for many years. And usually by August, I'm thinking, why am I still living here? Because it's so flippin' hot. It will be over 110 degrees. Could be 3 solid months over 110. So very hot, not nearly as hot here in northern Arizona. So con number 3 is that we have more wildlife here. So for instance, there are snakes, there are mice, and just the other day I was in my garage and I opened the door and I see this big snake, like a 3-foot long snake, and I'm like, holy crap, it's underneath my side-by-side. I go get a broom, so I'm gonna like brush it away, and he slithers away underneath my cabinet. So I don't know if he's still there or not, but I think it's a gopher snake, so they're not dangerous. But maybe he'll be eating the mice that I saw in my garage. You'll have animals like javelina, you'll have bobcats, you'll have coyotes, and you got to be careful of your small animals because of that. But you will also have beautiful animals like deer and elk you'll see wandering around, foxes. It's nice to see those nice animals, but if you're scared of javelina or you're scared of bobcats, that's definitely something you have to deal with up here in the northern half of the state. Pro number 4 is you have good air quality up here most of the time. Now realize if you're in Flagstaff, the air is thinner, so some people get altitude sickness or they have trouble catching their breath, at least when they first come here. Eventually you'll get used to that. The air is thinner, but usually the air quality is good. Now the exception would be, of course, if there is a forest fire. Just in April, there were 2 forest fires in the northern half of the state. One was near Prescott, one was north of Flagstaff, and I'm in Sedona, so I'm right in between. And I could smell the fire from my home in Sedona. So air quality good most of the time, except when we have a wildfire. And that brings me to con number 4, where you get wildfires and forest fires. So just April again, we had a big forest fire in the north of Flagstaff, and some people lost their homes, or at least a dozen to 2 dozen homes that got lost in the fire. There was another fire in Prescott. Now last year, a year ago, we had a big fire season near Payson. We had Pine, actually, which is north of Payson. There was a huge fire that lasted for weeks. There was one near Williams. I, of course, living in Sedona, would go outside. You could smell it, and I would smell it in my hair, you know. After being outside, I'd have to come home and take a shower because my hair smelled like a campfire. So again, you have risk of wildfires and forest fires here in the northern half of the state. Doesn't happen so much. Not that you don't get grass fires and stuff down in the valley, but more of a threat here in northern Arizona. Pro number 5. If you like this kind of thing, there are more rural properties for you to have room to live. Like if you like to be on acreage, if you like to be a little bit off the grid, if you like to be in the middle of nowhere, and if you like to have chickens or horses or cows, there are more places where you can have animals here, rural settings, than you do in the southern half of the state. Now, con number 5 is that homes here can be very expensive. So now, of course, I'm generalizing, right? But in Flagstaff and Sedona, homes are very expensive, probably 30-35% higher than if you are on average in Phoenix. Now, that doesn't mean the entire northern half is expensive. If you're in, say, Verde Valley, which would be Cottonwood, Cornville, those towns are very reasonably priced. When I say reasonable, probably similar to what you would find in Phoenix. Now, if you're way out of town, like in Williams, or if you're in Winslow, there you can get homes for very, very cheap. But I'm talking about the majority of homes in areas like Flagstaff, Sedona. It's kind of expensive to live here, mostly based on the home prices. So pro number 6 is there's lots of outdoor stuff to do. There's places you can go skiing in the wintertime, you can go hunting, you can go camping, fishing, hiking, ride your side-by-side over in Oak Creek, for instance. A lot of times I'll go in the summer and just hang out by the creek, put my feet in the water and have a little picnic. So lots of fun stuff to do if you're an outdoors person. Lots of activities that can keep you every weekend busy doing something in the great outdoors. And con number 6 is the last one I'm going to talk about. Number 6 is there's not a lot of high-tech jobs out here. So in case, you know, if you're going to telecommute, that's okay. You can find high-tech jobs. But if you're looking for like warehouse job, technology job, manufacturing jobs, there's not a lot of that. Not that they don't exist at all. I know in Flagstaff you've got Gore, you got the Purina plant, so you do have some of those, but not like in the valley where you've got Intel and you got Motorola and you've got Costco and big companies. There are not as many jobs up here. Of course, if you're telecommuting, that's okay, but not so many high-tech type jobs up here. So that's it. That's my pros and cons of living in northern Arizona. If you can think of one that I forgot, go ahead and put that in the comments. My name is Dawn Dickinson. I live here in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, where I sell real estate. So if you have a question about real estate, buying, selling, just want a list of homes for sale, just because you're curious, go ahead and give me a call, email, text, or go back down to the bottom of my description and schedule something on my calendar. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, please hit the like button, and I hope to see you back here next week when I post my next video about living in northern Arizona.